Once upon a time, there were two best friends named Anna and Maria. They met in kindergarten and have been inseparable ever since. Anna was outgoing and adventurous, while Maria was more reserved and studious. Despite their differences, they shared a deep bond and always had each other's backs. As they grew older, Anna and Maria faced many challenges, but they always tackled them together. In middle school, Anna struggled with bullying, but Maria stood up for her and helped her overcome it. In high school, Maria faced academic pressure, but Anna supported her and helped her stay motivated. After graduation, Anna and Maria went to different colleges, but they stayed in touch and visited each other often. They pursued different careers, but always encouraged each other to follow their dreams. When Anna got married, Maria was her maid of honor, and when Maria had a baby, Anna was her godmother. Years passed, and Anna and Maria grew old together. They reminisced about their childhood memories and laughed about their silly mistakes. They traveled the world and saw amazing sights, but the best moments were always the ones they shared together. One day, Anna passed away peacefully in her sleep. Maria was heartbroken, but she knew that Anna would want her to keep living her life to the fullest. She honored Anna's memory by continuing to pursue her dreams and helping others, just like Anna always did. Maria lived a long and fulfilling life, but she never forgot her best friend. She kept a photo of Anna on her nightstand and talked to her every night before bed. She knew that Anna was watching over her, and that their friendship would last forever.
Kelsey, Amy and Ben had been best friends since they were in high school. They were an inseparable trio and often joked together about how they were like the Three Musketeers. However, when they all started college, their friendship changed. Kelsey and Amy found themselves falling in love with each other and soon realized that they had feelings for each other that went beyond friendship. After a few months of hiding their relationship from Ben, they finally decided to tell him the truth. At first, Ben was hurt and confused. He couldn't believe that his two best friends had chosen each other over him. But, as time went on, he realized that he couldn't be mad at them for following their hearts. He decided to be supportive and soon became their third wheel. He went on double dates with them and was always there for them when they needed someone to talk to. Eventually, he started to develop feelings for both of them and they all realized that they had formed an unconventional love triangle. At first, it seemed impossible for the three of them to make it work and be happy together, but with patience and understanding, they managed to make it work. They were all in love with each other and were completely devoted to making their relationship work. Now, they are happily married and share a beautiful life together. They are still the Three Musketeers and are always there for each other no matter what. Thank you for watching our video. For your support, like, share, and follow.
The young man was born in a small village in the northern part of Africa. His childhood was relatively peaceful, his family lived off of his mother's small trading business, and he had enough to live comfortably even if not extravagantly. But a sudden tragedy befell the family when he was just 7 years old. His father passed away abruptly, leaving his mother alone with the young man and his siblings. Not knowing how to go on, the mother became increasingly depressed and stressed, as she struggled to manage her business and take care of her children. The young man could not bear to witness his mother's suffering. From the days of his father's death, he had made a promise to himself to send his mother back to happiness through any means necessary. With increasing desperation and pessimism driven by poverty and a lack of hope in his family's situation, he decided that his only hope was to leave his village and find work elsewhere. He knew that his only chance of improving his family's situation was to leave and make his fortune elsewhere. And so, with a few tents, a mule and a heavy heart, he waved goodbye to his family one morning and left the small village hoping to never turn back. As he traveled to a different land in search of fortune, he endured the hardships of being an immigrant, and often feared for his life. But the memory of his mother's sacrifice kept him going, and he eventually found himself in a new land, with an abundance of opportunities and promise of a better future. He worked hard and began to trust in a providence that would eventually provide for him. He earned money and sent some back home to his mother, who had tragically lost her husband in his quest for a better life for his family. The thought of his mother's endless love and sacrifice for her children kept him going. Years later, the young man had saved up enough money through his hard labor and persevered through many trials, and he finally was in a position to send his mother and siblings away from their village, and to a country filled with hope and opportunity. The young man and his mother never doubted the wisdom of his decision. Eventually, he was able to build a sustainable and prosperous life for himself and his family in his new home. The young man had succeeded in his quest, and he kept his promise to his mother, that he would send her back to happiness through any means necessary. He had lost his father at a young age, but this was neither the end nor the beginning of his story. Instead, it was a defining moment in the story of his life, and the young man cherished this experience for the rest of his journey.
Alps. Once upon a time, there lived a young girl in a small Bavarian town nestled in the Alps. Her name was Maria, and she was as sweet as she was sad. Maria was born into a poor family, and her parents worked hard every day just to make ends meet. Maria's family had a small garden, and her mother would often take her to the garden to pick apples and plums. Maria loved the garden and the time she spent there with her family, but it was never enough to fill the void in her heart. Maria often looked up at the towering mountains in the distance and dreamed of a different life, a life of adventure and excitement. Despite her sadness, Maria was still a child, and she found joy in the simple pleasures of life. She would play in the snow with her friends and make snowmen and snow angels. She would climb the rocks and admire the breathtaking views of the valley below, and she would often play in the woods near the town, pretending to be a princess in a fairy tale. But when the sun set and the night sky slowly crept in, Maria's sadness would return. She would look out of her window, out at the stars and the moon, and she would feel so alone. She knew that in the morning, she would wake up to the same monotonous routine, a routine that she felt like she could not escape. One day, her parents took her to the local fair, and Maria was filled with excitement. She explored the stalls and tasted the delicious treats, and she was in awe of all the sights and sounds. But as Maria looked around, she realized that she was the only one not wearing nice clothes or having fun. She felt like she didn't belong, like she was invisible. Maria's sadness returned, but this time it was different. She had seen a glimpse of the world outside of her small town, and she wanted more. She wanted to explore and experience life in all its beauty and complexity. But for now, Maria accepted her life in the Bavarian Alps, and she found solace in the simple pleasures it brought. Once upon a time, there were two siblings named Kofi and Amma, who lived in a small village in the eastern part of Africa. They were very close and did everything together. But one day, their parents fell ill with a strange disease that no one in the village had seen before. Despite the best efforts of the local healers, Kofi and Amma's parents passed away, leaving the young siblings alone and scared. With no one to care for them, Kofi and Amma had to learn how to survive on their own. They had to hunt for their own food, find their own shelter, and protect themselves from the dangers of the wild. It was a difficult and challenging time, but the siblings were determined to make it through. Over time, Kofi and Amma learned to rely on each other and their own resourcefulness. They became skilled hunters, able to track and kill animals for food. They built their own shelter out of the materials they found in the forest. And they learned to defend themselves from the wild animals that roamed the area. Despite the hardships they faced, Kofi and Amma never lost hope. They knew that if they worked hard and stayed strong, they could survive anything. And eventually, their strength and determination paid off. They were able to build a new life for themselves in the village, and they became respected members of the community. Although they never forgot the loss of their parents, Kofi and Amma were able to find happiness and fulfillment in their new life. They knew that they had each other, and that was all they needed to face whatever challenges lay ahead.